week's meaningful midweek conversation. It is an absolute delight to be here with Paul from Narrowboat Life Unlocked and Maxine from Never Too Late, Our Journey. If you're new, we are three vloggers. We love to get together at some point in the middle of the week and just chat about stuff. There's no solid answers here. We don't come with these pearls of wisdom, but we do like to just talk it through. And today we are going to be talking about boundaries. And to prove that we don't have all the answers, before we came on, Paul said, boundaries, what's that about? So we're gonna uncover. I said, I don't know, Paul, I'm gonna discover it too. But before we do that, let's have a quick check-in, see what we've been up to this week, where we are, what we're doing. Maxine, do you want to go first?
Yep. We're now just outside Braunston, in a field, near a field, but we're heading toward, as soon as we finish here, we're going into see if we can find a mooring in Braunston, because it's about a mile walk and I've had enough of doing all the walking now. But we travelled a couple of days ago went to manage to stop at Rugby and do an actual shop. We haven't done a big shop for nearly 7 weeks, so which was quite nice. So we're staying in Braunston for the weekend, and then
that's good.
Not sure where.
Not long to Crick now, is it?
No, that's where we're obviously going to, but we're taking it very slowly.
Can I just say, there is nothing like it when you're on the boat and you've done a big shop, your cupboards are full, and you can really enjoy those moorings that are in the middle of nowhere. I get a little bit like this if the food supplies are running low. We're in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, we need to move to a shop. So anyway, that is good. Well, I'm glad you got food. Now, Paul, you've been on holiday, haven't you? You've been away.
Yeah, went to Granada for 5 days with friends. We have been before. It's one of our favourite places to visit. And it just went to prove how unfit I am, because I think one day we walked 17,000 steps and my calves are still aching. But then I came up with the excuse that maybe it's because we're walking in flip-flops and you're just not used to it. Even though I didn't
I'd go with that one. I'd go with that one. So, but you had a good time.
Brilliant, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I said last week that you'd hardly recognise me because of my change of identity. And I've got to admit, I probably don't look that different right now, but I have made some progress this week. So I decided, do you remember the marathon saga? That I signed up to do a marathon. It then was cancelled, and then it was cancelled again. And that it went on a couple of times until the organisation said, we're not doing that marathon anymore, but here's another company you can do a marathon through them. And which was brilliant. But all those walks, they were up mountains. And I was like, I don't mind doing a marathon. I definitely don't want to do a marathon up a bloody mountain. So it's been troubling me for some time. And then I had the insight of just find another company that does marathons and just do that. And then all the money that you raise can still go to the initial charity, but I'll be just doing it under another, walk-in organizer. So with that in mind, I then decided that I wasn't just going to do a marathon. Oh no. This is the new Lisa. I've signed up to do 50 kilometers, which is about 30 something miles. So I'm very excited about that. It's on the 24th of September. It's not perfectly flat, but it's not a mountain. So that's all good. And on Tuesday, when I went to the pub, I think I've managed to convince some of my friends to go. I mean, they were slightly drunk and they may have changed their mind. But, I mean, in my mind, they're in. So, yeah. So that's been my week. And I've been getting up early every morning and going for like a 4K walk just before work.
Excellent.
Well done.
Yeah. So little steps, lots
That's
of them. Yeah. So that's what I've been up to. So I just want to say, let's have a quick hello to everybody. Oh, lots of people. Hello, hello. Hello to you all. Wonderful. Oh, Martin's on there. 187 lots in 11 days is a workout. Wow. Oh, yes. So that is a lot. I know that Martin was on a mission to get his wide beam back. And yeah, 187 locks. That's it. So anyway, hello, everybody. Today, we're talking about boundaries. So let's get into it. So why boundaries? Well, Oprah Winfrey, she is credited boundaries as being one of her keys for a successful life many times. I have heard her talk about boundaries on countless occasions. Brené Brown, the guru that she is, says that in her research, the most compassionate people she has met have been the most boundaried. And then I hear that Melissa Urban, formerly Melissa Hartwig, who's co-founder of the Whole 30, is releasing a book on boundaries. And the minute I heard about it, I was like, I want that book. And then realised it didn't come out till October. So I thought, oh, maybe I need to do a bit of prep work on boundaries before the book. So I have questions about boundaries. Do you have them? Are they important to you? How do you set them? Are they useful? I've got so many questions. So should we start at the top? Let's start at the top. What's your initial thoughts when I say boundaries? Are you like, oh yeah, got them, or what? Maxine, you go first.
Yeah, I have. I hadn't had for a long time, and I used to just say yes to everything. And if I did have to say no, I used to go into a long explanation why I couldn't and feel guilty about not being able to do certain things for people or to go to see people or things like that. But over the last few years, I've set my boundaries because it's for my mental health as well. I think you've got to, if you've got an agenda of how you live your life, and then somebody keeps like stepping over the boundary, really wanting you to do things and you're not comfortable, then you have to have the boundaries and say no, and don't feel guilty about it, because it's a savior for you. And so but it changes as well in different situations, so you'll have different I have different boundaries with different people, and it's just to keep the relationship and everything where I need it to be for me.
Right. There's so much in that, Maxine, that I want to unpack. Mm-hmm. So that was really helpful. I've got a lot of questions. But before we get into that, Paul, tell me, boundaries, what's it mean to you?
Oh, well, when you said this week's subject was going to be boundaries, I was like, what? Have I got any boundaries? But now we've been talking about it, I've realised that I have got boundaries. Some of them are dead obvious, which I can talk about later. And some of them are from books that I've read again. But, it's the power of learning to say no, but then it's contradictory, because I'll listen to meditations and it'll always say yes. So what do you do to make your life fulfilled and to have that breathing space as well? I think you need that in your life, don't you? Lately we've been feeling exhausted because we're cramming in so much and we're trying to get so much done, and we've got a wedding to go to, and we've just got events that we're going to, and you can have a crammed diary if you don't have boundaries. And I think one thing that I learned a long time ago was, so for example, because I was doing my magic and another business at the time, I was very busy, and there's so many ways of people communicating with you these days, and I couldn't keep on top of it all. So on my Facebook and a couple of other social media platforms, I now have an automatic reply, because I don't want to be up at midnight. Because you feel like, you go to bed at 11 o'clock, you get this last minute message about an inquiry, you feel like you need to reply to it there and then. So that's one boundary, was, the office is closed. But the automatic reply is, many thanks for your inquiry. To help serve you better, I will be replying to these comments between these hours and these hours, and please fill in an inquiry form at this website, because if I didn't do that, I would be backwards and forwards with questions, and it's so quick for them to fill in an inquiry form, and it saved me a lot of time and hassle, and then a lot of time and hassle.
That's really interesting, Paul. That, like, as you said, when we initially started talking about boundaries, you were like, well, boundaries, and then you're like, well, hold on, I have set some, even if you didn't call it a boundary, it was like, this is the space, that this is the line, this is, you know, I'm setting out my stand, this is it, and this is how it needs to work for me. So it makes me wonder how many boundaries I've set in my life unconsciously. I don't know. I can't think of any boundaries. I'm not good at. I'm not good at boundaries. I'm not. And people are going to say, no, Lisa, you're not, because you.
Is that because you're a people pleaser, though, Lisa?
Yeah.
Well, this is what I think. Is it? The thing is, right, I'm really interested in people. I love people. So if someone knocked on my door, I was like, can I come in now? Come in. Because I'd be genuinely interested. And people fill me up. I feel energized when, you know, I've had a great conversation with someone. So I you know, it's that thing of, if I set a boundary, does that mean that can't happen? I don't think so. We've got some comments here, and I really want to have a look. So Mick says this is boundaries, self-discipline and good karma. Is that the definition of boundaries? Kat says, I had a friend from 2009 to 2021 who only talked about her problems, that I needed it to be about me. So distance myself, much better for me. So yeah, that's interesting. I want to talk a bit more about what happens when we set boundaries. So let's see what Neil's saying. I don't do things to fit in with others, peer pressure, trends anymore. I do things that I'm comfortable doing and what I want to do, not what I feel like I'm pressured to do. I wonder if that's the key. If that's, you think, well, what am I comfortable with? And then you consciously set that boundary. Like you did with that message, Paul, where you're like, I'm not comfortable with replying in the middle of the night or feeling that you're always on, on call or ready at the end. You set it out and you say, this is the way it works for me. So before we get on about what happens when you set a boundary, because I think that's the thing. There's consequences to setting boundaries, but let's not jump ahead of ourselves. Oh, no. So the next on my list, what do boundaries give us? Now, Paul, you've given an insight to that by just sharing that experience. That's given you a restful night's sleep for a start. And no interruptions, for business. Maxine, can you think of anything else what boundaries give us?
It gives me peace. Well, it gives you peace of mind, because you're not because everybody knows what to expect from you, because you've said it before to them. You've got to be open and honest about it. Then it will give you peace of mind, and so you know that you can say no to situations and not feel guilty or het up or anything else like that about that. And I mean, it's like the same as Paul just said with work. I will not work at weekends. And I stipulate that, and I have done for a long time. And when people ask, I'll explain why, but my family life is that important to me these days that I will tell when I want to work, and I will work, but I'm open and honest, and so people understand why I say no. And that's so it's just being honest, and it comes out okay.
again, Maxine, you've brought up something really interesting. Is it about communicating those boundaries? Do you have to? Do you have to set your standard? Do you have to say, this is my boundary? Or maybe, Paul, you said it in that message, but you didn't. It wasn't like, I will not take any messages after.
It's just that line to serve you better, and I thought it just makes sense, doesn't it? So I'm not going to miss their inquiry, and it just saves everybody time.
So there's two things there. Number one, do we have to in some way communicate those boundaries? And number two, can we do that in a way that is peaceful and reflective of who we are? I think you've answered the second one, Paul, with that example, but number one, do we have to communicate our boundaries? Do we have to set it out?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, thinking of another thing, because when I was self-employed and lived at home, I used to work from home in the week, but I'd have office work to do. I'd want to do my art, and there'd be accounts to do. But I think because I was round the corner from my dad, if ever he needed anything doing, it'd just turn up, or he'd be on the phone. Can you come round and do this? Can you come round and do that? And you felt bad saying no, because my dad's great and he does loads for us. But I don't think he could grasp that I'm working even though I'm at home. And I think that was probably difficult for a lot of people during COVID, wasn't it? That, you have to work from home. And then I think more people probably understand now that, you can work from home, but you've got to set boundaries. You can't have your partner phoning saying, can you do the weekly shop this afternoon? And it's that kind of thing. But
so I think it's about, clear communication is key to this. But what stops us, or what I should say, there's part of me like almost cringing inside as I can hear myself saying no, basically. Or maybe the thing is, it's not no, I can't do that. It's yes, I can do that if I choose to, but at this time when it suits me. That's a boundary. If I'm protecting a bit of time, it's not just about yes and no. It's about when. In fact, one of my questions is it as easy as yes or no? So no. I don't think it is. It's not yes, I will do this. No, I won't do that. It may be time. So yes, I can do this, but I can do this at this time. Do you see what I mean?
So so you're not saying yes, I'll do it immediately and drop everything else. It's you just say, look, I can do it, but you'll have to wait a bit or give them the time.
Well, my brother-in-law is great at this, and I've just realized he's very successful in his job and his career and his life. And I've just realized that, he does set a lot of boundaries, and he's the kind of person that would just say no. But I think it depends, really, doesn't it? I think we get to know those people, and if they're the kind of people that are just direct, we're not offended by it. And one example, he used to get the work bus, which was free to work, but he said in that half hour to work, that's my time. And he used to sit there with his headphones on, so nobody would talk to him. That was his, his visual cue that this is my boundary. I don't want to talk to you while I'm on my way to work.
That's interesting, isn't it? That's interesting. It's some people. I was going to say it comes naturally. Maybe not. Maybe they're just good at it. They've practiced it for enough that they've become good at it, like anything else. So we've got to touch on it. Well, the biggest fear of setting a boundary is other people's response. I mean,
hurting other people's feelings.
You don't want to upset people.
No. So Lisa's going to be going around Crick with headphones on.
Like, sorry, listening. Can't speak. That's never gonna happen.
No.
And I think that's the thing, you see, is because I love that. I love that engagement. I don't, and actually, I'm quite conscious of other people's clues of when they don't want that.
Yeah.
I understand I can be a bit much sometimes. I understand that. I get it. Right. And especially if you're in a bad mood and I come along and I'm all chirpy. I mean, I must be a pain in the bum, right? I get that. And I'm always looking for other people's cues, if you like, you know, the headphones or the fact that they look away or whatever. That's fine. And I never feel like, oh, they didn't want to. I never feel like that because I respect I respect them for that.
Yeah.
Right. So why do I feel that in a different circumstance, say if it was something, you know, where I needed a boundary, why do I feel that someone would be so insulted by my setting a boundary? I don't know. I don't know.
It's probably because it's a guilt thing, because you haven't got any boundaries now. You're presuming that there's going to be a problem when even if you do set it.
Yeah. Do you know my biggest thing? I don't know where to start with boundaries. I don't know where to start. I mean, Oprah, she's all over it. Brené Brown, Melissa Urban, they're all over it. They're very successful women.
Yeah,
doing good work.
Can I just? Are they successful because of the boundaries, or do they have to have boundaries because they're so successful and they're so busy?
I would say that one.
It's a chicken and egg.
Yeah.
So are you saying then, Paul, that if you're not successful, we don't need to worry about it?
I think we still need to worry about it, but we don't need to set so many boundaries. You know, I'm sure people as busy as Oprah Winfrey must say, you know, when, I mean, you know, she owned the TV company, but she must have had maybe a producer. I don't know if I know she probably produced it herself, or a floor manager.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm sure they couldn't contact her 24/7. She must have set boundaries for them. Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, let's Teresa, hi from Cosgrove. Hi, Teresa. That's so close to us. That is, especially when we're in Milton Keynes. Ben, you shouldn't feel bad if people get upset by setting boundaries.
Yeah.
It's a good point. And in a way, I can't do anything about how somebody else feels. That's the one thing I can't do.
No.
So maybe.
Yeah. I've just thought of a good example as well. I mean, I never thought I would have to do this, but I don't want to upset the people if they're watching, because I enjoyed the conversation. But somebody knocked on the boat and it was winter. So I didn't want to stand outside on the stern in my t-shirt because it was freezing. I didn't want them to stand outside in the cold. So I said, would you like to come in for a cup of coffee? And at the time, I was busy doing a piece of art. But it's probably my fault because I can talk for England. They were there for 3 hours.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, I probably talked for a good an hour and a half of that. So it was my own fault. And I really enjoyed the conversation. But then I thought, 3 hours of your day, that's a lot to give up when I was so busy editing and doing drawings. So now, and it's only the past few weeks where I've done this, a couple of people turned up at the boat. And I said, it's lovely to see you. I am working, but I can spare 20 minutes if you want a cup of coffee.
Perfect.
I was just about to say that would be a great way, because you're like me. You love that conversation. You love meeting new people. You love coffee. I mean, what's not to love about that situation, right? But the boundary on your time, and that's the thing. It wasn't the boundary on the people. It was the boundary on the time.
Yeah.
So just by saying we can do this, I've got 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a perfect boundary in that situation for you.
Yeah. And I hope those people weren't upset by it. I don't think they were. And then, you know, another time somebody said, I'm happy to sit on the boat while you do your art. But, you know, I can't draw while I'm having a conversation. And,
That's, it's about being clear what you can and can't do, isn't it? Yeah. So, let's have a look what Caitlin says. It never used to happen before, and now people are more aware of putting up boundaries, and many don't understand it. I think I don't want to say boundaries are a new thing. I mean, I watched Oprah Winfrey, you know, some stuff that she was talking about that was like 20 years ago. But I do think, I mean, the fact that we're having this conversation now means that we're talking more about boundaries and people not understanding them, especially if we've behaved in a certain way in the past and then we suddenly put a boundary in.
Yeah.
Maxine, you mentioned that you have different boundaries for different friends, as in like different, and that makes perfect sense to me, because rather than saying I will not do this or I will only do this, it's like in this friendship, in this relationship, you know, that's unique in itself, that friendship, and it has a different set of boundaries required to another one. You know, that made perfect sense to me. Do your friends, were they the same friends you had before you set boundaries? Did you do it gradually? Or how?
Definitely. It's just something, I think it's as I've changed over the years and different things have become more important and everything like that. So it's just, and they understand that I won't drop everything to go straight. Obviously I will give them time when I need to, but I've got things I have to get on with and things like that. And so they understand that now. And so they understand it.
Yeah. Do you know, that reminds me, that thing of like people calling if it's an emergency. I think I may have mentioned it before, but one of the minimalists, I'm not talking about the YouTube bloggers, I'm talking about the two guys who are the minimalists. In one of their books, I think, or definitely on a podcast, I've heard them say, if it's an emergency, I'm probably not the best person to call. Call a plumber, call, you know, the fire brigade, call whoever needs to help with the emergency. When you need to chat it through, let's make time for that. But I'm not the person to call in an emergency. So that's the thing. A bit like that with your friends. You know, I'm here for you. But So Sue has let's see what Sue's saying. Hello, Sue, by the way. I wish I was able to say no in my career. I've always pleased other people, not always pleased myself. That is so common, isn't it? Especially at work, where we don't often want to be seen as difficult or you know, or any of those sort of negative things. I think, I wonder if it's harder for women to set boundaries than men. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just leaving that there. So Kath said, sounds like you meet people with no boundaries, Paul. I'm one of those people. I am, you know.
It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, is a boundary just a rule with a fancy word?
Is it? And is it set in stone? Caitlin says, it's like people don't get it when you say no without a reason, but we can say no without a reason. We can. That's the thing. Oh, Linda,
I like that one.
These are words of wisdom. The older you get, the easier it is to set boundaries. My fence is very tall now. Maybe, I do think it's easier as we get older. So anyway, do we need boundaries in all areas of our life? Work, home, family, relationships with significant others, relationships with friends, relationships with ourselves. Do we need boundaries all over the place? What do you reckon?
Yeah, but like, not set in stone, are they? But I think we all have boundaries. I mean, I'm really anti-drugs. I won't even watch a program with drugs on. And I remember going to a party years ago and somebody was doing drugs and I just walked out and never saw those people again. I chose never to mix with those people again. And that was my boundary. I'm just not comfortable with it. And I know, Lisa, you mentioned before when you were at the marina and you did that craft club, you said was it a rule where you said you didn't want people gossiping? And I thought that was such a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Because it causes so much trouble, doesn't it?
Yeah. I suppose that was a boundary, wasn't it? That was important to me. Yeah. That this group, this gathering, didn't descend into this place where, you know, we felt that we could, that others felt that they could talk about other people. Yeah, I can set boundaries. Check me out.
Only when crafting.
But I absolutely hate like gossip. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't want to be around it. I don't want to be part of those conversations. There's a million things to talk about other than, other people. I'm getting right hot sweaty. This is always when I know when I'm really passionate about something. So that's good. Ben, good point here from Ben. Sometimes you have to say no because you give an inch and they take a mile in any circumstances. So it's like protecting ourselves.
Definitely.
It's very wise, Ben is.
Yeah.
I think what Neil said as well, that's very true.
Yeah, let's have a look. I think with friends and relations, they grow to understand your boundaries and respect your boundaries. I actually think that's true. That's very true. Because if we all think about friends that we have, we'll have like, this is our friend who under no circumstance will go out after 10 o'clock. This is a friend who will only, this is what we often think, or what I often think, is that's just who they are. But maybe they're not. They're just consciously setting a boundary of this is what I'll do. So let's have a look what Mick's saying. I find the hardest boundaries to make was with friends that always seemed high maintenance. That's a hard one. High maintenance friends. I think they're the ones that get us to set boundaries in the first place. I'm just going to open this window, guys, before I melt.
It has suddenly got warmer as well, though, hasn't it? It's like the sun's come out here. Bet you're roasting there, Maxine.
No, I've opened the side today. So I've got Maxine. Can you see Maxine? She's looking out the window. She's watching all the boats. If there's a more hen, she could go in.
Oh, look, there's another passing boat in the background.
Turn the monitor back on.
So how do we know what boundaries to set?
It's things that make our life more fulfilled, more productive. I mean, the things that we value. So, I've got a relative that used to send very negative comments all the time and was gossiping about other people, and in the end you couldn't argue with this person, so in the end I said, any of those messages I just won't reply to. And now I don't get any of those messages, and it doesn't stress me out, and I don't go to sleep thinking, they said this about such a body and this about me, and I just found it really difficult to deal with. And I'm there for that person. I love that person dearly, but they've come to, and we've not drifted apart in any way. In fact, it's probably brought us close because I don't have to deal with that negativity in my life. And then they've probably got less negativity in their life because they can't vent it to me.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm really lucky that my friends, we never gossip and do that. And then I just thought, well, maybe that's because they know that that's not acceptable. Do you know what I mean? So how do we start, Maxine? You're ahead of us on this one. You are ahead of us. You've started setting boundaries, and I think both me and Paul have, but we've not done it consciously. So how do we start? What's our starting point, do you reckon?
I think mine was mapping out how I wanted to live going forward.
Yeah.
And so if something was not going to fit in and it wasn't going to allow me to do the things I wanted to do, then I had to put a boundary there to say no to certain things. And I don't do that way. I don't want to live like that any longer. And, the people that wanted to stay around me have accepted that. And so I live and obviously with work wise is because I've gone self-employed, so it's easy, but straight away I set those. I was very strict with myself and said I will only work certain hours and certain days, and I will only contact people and when I get clients I tell them that as well, so that they know straight away how everything is. So it's just being upfront with everybody. That's how I've done it.
Yeah, that's good. Paul, are you gonna after this conversation, are you gonna set some boundaries? And if so, where are you gonna start?
I think I have to. I mean, otherwise life can run away with you, can't it? You're not doing the things that bring value to your life if all you're ever doing is trying to please everybody. And I've realized, I used to release the vlogs early for the patrons, and there's only a couple of patrons watch them early, and even the patrons have said to me, you're under a lot of pressure to release a vlog every week. Don't worry about us by releasing a vlog early. We're happy to watch it on Saturday. And then it's difficult, isn't it? It's I don't know, I'm losing track of what I want to say, but if you've got a schedule and you're very busy person, even if you're not busy, you still want time to relax. A lot of people retire and then become busier in their lives, don't they? Because they don't want to say no, so they end up doing jobs for everybody. And some people enjoy that. We know people have retired and they don't like sitting still, so they're quite happy doing jobs for people. I'm definitely going to rethink this and hopefully not have friends fall out with us.
Let's hope that we all have friends at the end of it. So Kath made a suggestion, and I think that this is good. Maybe our close friends are those who fit in with our boundaries. So the similarities of you. Saying that though, a lot of my close friends are complete opposites to me.
My close friends.
I've just with my elbow highlighted Ben's statement there, but with the mouse.
That's multitasking, Lisa.
I don't have high maintenance friends, just my 58-foot boat summertime job, repaint the roof. That's it. Maybe there should be boundaries about how long you spend fixing a boat. I don't know. Mick said your true friends know your boundaries. That's why they're your true friends. Let's have a look at this one. Let's have a look. Linda, drugs. That's a whole different thing with all the levels of legalization. Yeah, I dog sit for one of my children and has to remind me not to eat the snacks in a certain kitchen drawer. Oh, right. I thought when I started doing that, I thought that they'd set a boundary of don't touch this. Well, they have, but that's funny. That's very funny. So, little old me, like they used to say on Grange Hill, just say no. We know how that went. So, and Sue saying she doesn't know how she found the time to go to work. She's busier now than before. So. Well, I have really enjoyed chatting through boundaries, especially when at the beginning we were a bit like, boundaries? What are they? Do we need them? I think I was going to say I need boundaries, but I'm seeing it as an extension of living more consciously, which I try and do all the time. As you said, Maxine, it's about looking at your life. What do I want? What do I not want? Where do I want to spend my time? Who do I want to spend it with? And once you get clearer on those, it gets easier to set the boundary because it doesn't fit. And then I think not that I'm trying to steal the words out of Melissa's book that I haven't read yet, but maybe the answer then is to be able to communicate that clearly and lovingly in a way that reflects, you know, that in a way honors that person as well as yourself, and just without having to give a long explanation of just like, no thank you, that's not for me, or you know, yes, I would love to do that, but this is when I can do it, you know, that sort of thing. And I think that's communication skills that I think maybe I need to get on top of. Hopefully Melissa's book will have them all, so I you know, I'm hoping so. Anyway, I need to set boundaries at work so I can watch on a Thursday. Oh, before we go, Kath has come up with a great question here. Are boundaries part of your personality or a necessary part of life? And that, I think, what we said a little while ago about, like, we've got friends who will, you know, we know that they like certain things and don't like other things. They've probably set that boundary and we're just seeing it as who they are. So I don't know, is it a mix of the two, or does who we are define the boundaries we set? I think for me, the most important thing is the conscious part of it, actively choosing what to and what not to have. So well, on that note, I think I was going to say I think we're done. Well, no, we could talk about this for hours more, and we may revisit it. We'll definitely revisit it in October after Melissa's book's out, and I'll have a read and come back to you with how the boundary setting's going. But for this week, thank you so much, Maxine and Paul, for joining me. I love it. And thank you, everybody who showed up and taken part in the conversation. I really, really appreciate it. It's one of the highlights of my week. So thank you, everyone. Same time next week. Are we around next Thursday? Oh,
yeah, I think so.
Yes. Perfect. I think so as well. Yeah. So hopefully we'll see you next week. Take care. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.